I'm not saying it.
Right.
I'm not making it up. This is what they are telling us.
The original churches of the Christian faith, and the Muslims have just gotten rid of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they blew up the Temple of Jonah. They do not show respect or restraint when it comes to dealing with the Christian faith or the Jewish faith or any other faith. Their belief is Muhammad or nothing, the Quran or nothing.
Right.
And so when you talk about radical Islamic jihad and the caliphate, it's a very real issue, which is, I have to say, one of the big problems I have with President Obama constantly referring to the terrorist group of ISIL, because ISIL is the Islamic State in the Levant, which includes Israel, and doesn't recognize Israel as an independent state, but recognizes it as a part of the Muslim Caliphate. And so when he says ISIL is not Islamic and ISIL is not a state, he's almost granting them a statehood by going with ISIL as opposed to ISIS, because he's saying this isn't just the Islamic State in Iraq, in Syria. It includes Jordan. It includes Israel, which we don't acknowledge as Israel. We acknowledge as part of the Caliphate, and all of this other landmass. So he's giving them more by calling them ISIL. And it's to me, it's very disturbing.
It still bothers me that Congress could put a stop to all of this terrorist Muslim immigration. And it's coming up for a vote, I think, about the time this program will air.
Yeah.
And, we need to call our congressman and tell him, hey, we don't need any more terrorists in the United States, and ask for John Yarmouth's office and tell him, hey, we're not paying you so you can bring in more and more terrorists into our country.
I have John Yarmouth's local office, too, if you want that. If you want to call John Yarmouth here at home, in his home office, it's 502-582-5129. Yeah, I've got John in my Rolodex because I have lots of reasons to call and remind him, hey, John, don't forget you work for us, and this is what we need you to do. Because that, at the bottom line, that's what it's all about. The government is still supposed to work for the people. That's why these numbers are important. That's why we need to have them, and we need to call, like you're talking about, when we have votes that mean something. Because right now, I'll tell you, and for the last year that Obama is in office, I know we're wrapping up 2015, but looking at 2016, that's one more year that he has in office. There, I feel, is going to be an awful lot of legislation thrown out there, an awful lot of executive orders. And we need people in Congress, in the House and in the Senate, to throw up their hands and put up the brakes and say, hold on a minute. This isn't in the best interest of the people.
Here's Yarmouth's number again: 582-5129, and give him a call and tell him, hey, we don't need more terrorists in Louisville. He had a big rally downtown a couple of weeks ago, saying, we need more immigration.
Well, and this is not some far-fetched idea or you or I sitting here in Louisville being, paranoid. It wasn't that long ago that 2 Iranian nationals were part of a relocation program in Bowling Green, Kentucky, who got busted, thankfully, but they were trying to get Stinger missiles. And they had automatic weapons. And they were radical Islamic terrorists who came into the country through a visa program and went through a relocation program, were put in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and while in Bowling Green, just right down 65, tried to acquire Stinger missiles. So this is not something far-fetched. This isn't something that's only happening on the coasts. This is right in our backyard. And you're right, absolutely, we don't need any more of it. And I know people jumped all over Donald Trump when he made his statements about banning Muslims, and I think that Trump is a little bombastic and he doesn't have the finesse that the presidency needs. Having said that, Trump's proposal was not that far off of Jimmy Carter when he actually banned Iranians from the United States. And if there were people in the country on visas, he had them all check in with immigration. He tracked down every Iranian in the nation. Now, the difference was Iran is a state, and we were able to identify them as a state. But whether you're identifying as a state or as a culture or as a religious population, the idea of putting that into effect for national security at a time of crisis is not only not far-fetched, it's been done. And so, I don't want to throw too much cover for Donald Trump because he's really not my favorite candidate. But in the sense of clarity and honesty, what he proposed is not far off from what Jimmy Carter actually did, or FDR did for that matter.
Well, you see, and all of these Christian people that are over in the Middle East, he doesn't want to let them in.
No.
Just the Muslims.
Yeah.
Now, where does that get you?
It gets us in a whole lot of trouble. As many people have stated over the last couple of weeks since the California terrorist attack, political correctness is killing us. We know there was a neighbor who saw middle-aged Middle Eastern men going in and out of the house at weird times, strange noises from the garage, but were afraid to report it for being labeled as, Islamophobic.
Yeah.
Or, as being called some other hateful thing. So they kept their mouth shut. And what kind of guilt do you think those people are living with 14 people dead? Americans shouldn't have to go through that.
Here's that number again for John Yarmouth, who should be stopping this. He's got a vote, and they're voting on it probably right about now as we're listening. So the number is 582-5129. Brother, I mean, it really burns me up that these guys, instead of helping America, are trying to bring in more and more terrorists.
Yeah. Well, and it's just a simple fact of, you've heard the expression, stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
At one point, you're not going in for surgery, you're not resetting the arm, but man, you got to at least stop the bleeding. And we're not. We're bleeding out. And it literally is drowning our nation, not only economically, but socially as well. It's hard to bring these people together. And, people want to complain about the education system in America, and it is under a lot of pressure. But add to that the fact that all these new immigrants that come into the United States through the refugee program or whatever else are automatically placed in schools. And the English as a second language students are rapidly growing, making it more difficult for the teachers in the classroom and needing more specialized teachers that, maybe aren't available as readily as others. So we create a whole educational problem as well. And the tax burden and the fact that, we do have people that don't want to assimilate. So there's the cultural problem. And, until you can slow it down and say, hold on, catch our breath, let's re-examine what's going on here, it's just going to get worse.
See, this is the picture of that lady you were talking about that had Facebook, social media statements saying that she was going to support ISIS.
Yeah.
And then went and shot all those people, her and her husband, at San Bernardino, California. I think it was December 2nd.
Yeah. And the fact that, on one hand, you go back to when the president's friend, I forget his name, the professor that got arrested up in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
The president came to the podium and said, we don't have all the details, but the police acted stupidly. He was ready to jump on the police without the details and say they acted stupidly for responding to a call about a break-in and taking a man downtown who refused to show ID. It's not really that far. There's no story there. But yet he was willing to jump and say the police acted stupidly. Yet Fort Hood shooter comes up.
Yeah.
Whoa. We can't jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
It might be workplace violence. The California terror shooting comes up. We don't know the motives. We can't say it's terrorism. This could just be another workplace violence. He does everything in his power to back it away. Well, we don't have the details. But other times when it fits his agenda, Details don't matter. The cops are to blame.
Let me say a couple of things real quick here about this calendar. This is the new 2016 calendar from American Family Association, and it's got a lot of pictures. Here's a lot of the people that have been on our program and have volunteered, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pictures of different volunteers for the American Family Association. We'll send you this free if you call our number right now, 893-2444. Call right now. We'll send you that. And this is what I think is the most important video ever made. This is Agenda 2. You may have heard of Agenda 1. You remember when Khrushchev stood up and said, we're going to destroy America without firing a shot. And then he wrote down what he's going to do. One of the first things was get rid of prayer in the public schools. And it goes downhill from that and explains all about why we're having these problems in America and who's paying the bills and who's behind it all. You need to get this. It's free. Again, call us at 893-2444 and we'll send you that free.
I saw Rick Allen in that calendar too. So you definitely want to get there. There's a picture.
Yeah, Rick is
the
in
Black
there.
Heart Conservative. That's my buddy. He's on right before me on 970. He comes on at 7:06.
Yeah.
So Rick comes on and then graciously feeds into my show, and he's a good guy. We've known Rick for a long time, and so Rick's picture is in the calendar. You got to get the calendar now.
Yeah. And here's our latest newsletter. We'll send you that too. This is the American Family Association newsletter. It has the number of all the congressmen and a number how you can get a hold of your state representative and state senator, and how you can be on a network to get newsletters when there are some kind of crisis coming up. Like right now, this vote in Congress, whether or not to fund all of this Muslim immigration. Well, the answer is no, not here. If they want to go somewhere, let them go to the other Muslim countries. There's plenty of room for them there. But they want to come over here and take us over and
there's plenty of wealthy Muslim countries there too.
Absolutely.
Qatar, Dubai.
They don't seem to be taking any of them.
No.
So give us a call, 893-2444. We'll send you the newsletter. We'll send you the calendar. And we'll send you the DVD that kind of explains why all these things are happening all of a sudden.
It is. And Dr. Simon, thank you for having me back on the program. I always enjoy coming on here and being able to talk about these important issues because they are important. And the 1 hour I get a week on 970 on Sunday nights at 8 o'clock is great. And I'm glad I have it, but it never seems like enough.
Is that right?
There's always something else.
Well, there's a lot of problems here, and we have to call our congressman and give them our opinion, because otherwise they're going to run us in the ground. Okay, I guess we're about out of time, but God bless you, and we want to thank Jim Coyle for being our guest today. Well, that's about all the time we have tonight, so God bless you, and Happy New Year, and tune in again next week for the rest of the news.